Now it's too late. I've already wrecked myself.
Oh, shit, dog.
It's a cautionary tale.
Don't be like Kane.
Yeah, everyone else that's listening, just check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because if you wreck yourself, you can no longer check yourself.
We didn't start recording yet.
Welcome to Butcher Block Horror Podcast.
Wow.
We exhume horror movies from the past and cut into what makes them so delectable. I'm Kane.
I am JD.
And I am Joe, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty.
I'm real nasty.
And today, we're throwing the Argento cut of Dawn of the Dead onto the slab and carving up our favorite portions to force feed to you, our unwitting victims. If you enjoy the taste of these feasts of fright, then make sure to leave us a review wherever you consume your podcasts. Check out our website, wegiveyobrainworms.com. There you can join our Funky Fresh Discord server, as well as click on our Patreon link to directly support the show. If you do the YouTube, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified whenever we make new episodes.
And lick the video.
Why?
Yes, lick it.
How are you going to know? They're just licking their monitor.
Lick it or tick it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you got to lick the monitor or I'm going to send you a bill for $100.
It's true.
That's how we'll make money. I just figured it out. We're going to be the richest podcast there is.
How are we going to know what if people just say they licked their monitor? How are you going to test that?
JD will know.
I will just know. I will sense it. I will feel it in my balls.
Well, that right there makes people not want to lick the monitor, right?
Oh, man.
Nobody's going to do that.
It's going to be a heavy editing for Joe today.
No, I'm leaving all that in. That's fine.
Yeah, everybody's going to know that you equate monitor licking to sensation on your testicles, and it's just going to be gross.
Yep.
I can tell.
People are going to judge you.
Everyone's going to be like, JD's gross.
Well, guess who hangs out with me?
Yeah, I guess that does say a lot about Joe and I.
Sure does. Pick better friends next time.
Well, shit, that ship has sailed, so.
Yeah.
You're stuck with me.
All right, so this was exciting. I love this movie, and I'm glad that we watched it last. Very well done. JD, why don't you talk to us about Dawn of the Dead? Obviously, the Argento cut was just him
Titled
taking
Zombie.
George Romero's Dawn of the Dead and making some additions and changes to it.
Yeah. He, in my opinion, scrubbed some of the polish off of it just a little, made it a little darker, a little sadder, a little more hopeless. But I think that's what a zombie film calls for in this extreme.
A zombie?
A zombie.
Some zombies.
Is that like a New Jersey zombie movie?
Ma, get the dogs inside. They're zombies.
Yo, get off my leather, zombie.
There's fucking zombies on the lawn. Get them.
That sounded kind of Boston.
I only have the one voice. Leave me alone.
It's true. Now, you should try to do that accent as your Willem Dafoe / Danny DeVito. Come on, let's see you do it.
That's kind of what it sounded like already.
Yeah.
That was Kane being facetious.
Yeah, I only have the one voice. That's the joke.
So, Zombie, a.k.a. Dawn of the Dead, was released September 1st of 1978 in Italy. And then, in 1979, everywhere else. It was released in Japan, April 7th of 79, Dallas, and then the rest of the U.S., April 13th, 1979.
Nice.
It had a runtime of 126 minutes. That was the U.S. version. It was trimmed down a bit by Dario Argento to 119 minutes for the Italian version.
And that was him cutting out some of the humorous sides of it.
Yeah, to sort of darken it up a bit, make it a little more...
Made it more of a true horror movie.
True horror, yes. Very macabre, very hopeless.
As if the original U.S. release of Dawn of the Dead wasn't a true horror movie from the get-go. Argento was like, nah, we can make it darker. We can make it more hopeless.
Well, so many horror films of the 70s and 80s have a little spotlight at the end, just like a little glimmer of hope or a question, when something appears the absolute darkest. But in this one, it almost kind of reminds me of, I don't even know, like an Ari Aster movie where it just goes from bad to even worse.
Oh, sure.
How much fuel do we have? Not a lot. Okay. I think that is the ending dialogue.
So yeah, this film Zombie is the first in a series of films directed by George A. Romero, Dario Argento, and Lucio Fulci, and others. There were stand-in directors at different points throughout these films. But yeah, this is initially, remember when we were talking about Zombie 2 and the odd of the part 2 in there, it was meant to follow this.
Which it didn't at all.
Right.
No. I mean, honestly, if we're looking at it, like it's Night of the Living Dead happens. That's the start. Like the
Sure.
dead are just starting to rise, right?
Mhm.
And then when you look towards Dawn of the Dead, the initial incident has already happened and
Mhm.
humanity is attempting to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Day of the Dead is when they ultimately don't deal with it. And the whole world is essentially consumed by the living dead.
Sure.
And then, of course, it keeps going with like Land of the Dead and Diary of the Dead and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Survival of the Dead.
Diary of the Dead.
Yeah, lots of the deads.
Mhm, mhm.
So yeah, this film was directed by George A. Romero and re-edited by Dario Argento. We've talked at extensive lengths.
Till we're blue in the face. Eh?
I
Eh?
like what you did there.
Eh?
I really do like what you did there. That was creative.
That's good.
Anyway, this film was produced by Richard P. Rubenstein, and we've talked about Richard as well at great length.
Yep.
So we are pretty much pushing along to the plot.
Let's do it. Let's get to the story.
The nitty gritty.
The grittiest of the nitties. Wait, does that? I don't think that actually works, does it, Joe?
It doesn't, but you tried.
On to the plot of Zombie, aka Dawn of the Dead. So, the planet is literally being savaged by a mysterious phenomenon that don't go.
God damn
I
it,
knew
Joe.
it was going to happen.
Can we have one episode where you don't do that?
Only if nobody says the word phenomenon.
God damn it.
Savaged by a mysterious phenomenon that reanimates the recently deceased, transforming them into horrible ghouls who feast upon the flesh of the living. Kane, let's hear your zombie impersonation.
No.
Oh, you're too good to be a zombie, huh? Just the rest of us could be zombies, but you can't because you're special?
What are you turning this into?
I think Kane thinks he's better than us.
So the implication that I'm an elitist because I don't want to make silly zombie noises, you guys did it. I don't need to do it.
But the point is to hear how Kane does it, because you are a unique individual.
No, I'm not. I'm not a special snowflake. I'm not an individualist. All right. I'm just like everybody else. Okay. Just leave me the fuck alone.
Well, we know you put your pants on both legs at a time, so don't try to fool us with your ruse.
No, it's one leg at a time. I don't try to jump into them. Although now I kind of want to do that. Now
Just like suspend the pants from
Exactly.
both sides on some kind of
contraption
frame
and then
apparatus.
jump into
Yeah.
them. Yeah, that's going to be my new task. I need to build that completely unnecessary contraption so that when people are like, I mean, you put your pants on one leg at a time, like, actually,
Sure.
I could even do the like mansplaining. Actually,
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, yeah.
I created contraption. Why are we doing this? No, let's talk about Dawn of the Dead. Stop it, you guys. Stop it.
You let it happen.
What do you mean? How am I supposed to stop it? All right. It's not like I have electrodes hooked up to your scrotums and
Kane, don't hit that button again.
I swear to God, whatever this bit is, I hate it and I want it to go away.
Well, if you just respected us a little more, then we wouldn't have to have these conversations on the air.
Yeah, well, do something that is worthy of respect. All right. And then I'll respect you more. Okay.
Oh, man.
So like I was saying, we are 3-ish weeks or so into this crisis, and it's reported that millions of people, despite various government efforts, they've been transformed into zombies. The world is in a tailspin. Social order is collapsing.
I mean,
It's kind of like what's happening now in the world.
right. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, I was going to count, like, recent events have made this movie, and really just the whole Romero zombie thing, a lot more believable.
Right.
We're living our best Romero lives right now.
Nice.
So the remaining military might of the living is called to action battling zombie hordes. Urban centers descend even further into chaos. I feel like I'm reading a book.
Or a news report.
Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
This just in. Millions of people have contracted this mysterious illness that is killing them and then reanimating them, forcing them to consume the flesh of their friends and neighbors. More at 11.
Corpses making more corpses.
No, yeah, that's just the stinger. That's more at 11. So it's like, fuck, we have to wait? We have to wait until 11? It's 6 p.m. That's a lot of time for me to be terrified about the undead. Give me answers.
It's true.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an internet now. You're not really dependent on.
No. What about those analog hipster guys that are like, I don't use the internet. I get my information from news sources.
I don't think that the I only listen to music on vinyl crowd is avoiding the internet.
Maybe they should.
Yeah, I was about to say, in fact, they're kind of too much on the internet.
Maybe we should convince them. Like, hey, why are you using all those digital products? You should get rid of those and go back to the telegram.
It's true.
But yeah, so society's collapsing under the weight of an undead horde.
And everything is straight up doo-doo.
Yeah. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Everything is terrible.
Basically. We meet Stephen Andrews and his girlfriend/producer, who also happens to be hella preggers, about 4 months, Fran Parker.
Yeah, Stephen Flyboy Andrews was played by David, and I apologize, David, for this, David Imge. It's E-M-G-E, all right? So it's David Imge.
Yeah, get some consonants.
Yeah, just one, like Imag, Emeg, anything, but Imge, I got nothing for you, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, be more like me. I'm incontinent.
Wait, hold on.
And then Francine Fran Fly Girl Parker was played by Galen Ross. See what happens there? It's not Galen Riss. It's Galen Ross. There's another letter in there.
That's a good last name. So the pair work at a television studio in Philly and are plotting to steal the station's news chopper and escape the city.
I don't even think it was. I think it was just Stephen Flyboy Andrews. I'm going to do that anytime I refer to him. It's Stephen Flyboy Andrews. It was really hip because she was like, no, we need to stay. We need to, contribute. And he's like, he's even kind of like creepy about it. And he's like, yeah, be there at 9 o'clock. Don't make me come look for you.
Oh.
It's like, it's a zombie apocalypse. I could shoot you in the face, fucko, and no one's going to say a goddamn thing. But he was a zombie. That's what I did.
It was self-defense. Prove that it wasn't.
This is why I need to be taken out immediately. The second zombies start rising, I need to be taken out.
Because live Kane will be more menacing than dead Kane.
Nope, they were a zombie. They don't look zombie-ish. Yeah, they're a zombie. I'm pretty sure. Boom. Hey, look, they were another zombie.
Well, if all those ingredients ever enter our pot, I'll be sure to find a new city.
Kane's just going to become a warlord.
No, absolutely not. So the other day, the kiddo and I watched, I don't even remember what it was. It was zombie adjacent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking about if the zombie apocalypse happened, that she's not even going to struggle. Like, she's like, I don't want to be involved. Like, I don't want to live in that world.
I lean in that direction too.
And I was like, you don't have to worry about that. If the zombie apocalypse happens, I'll be nice and I'll take you and your mom out immediately. And she was like, what?
Wow.
And I was like, I won't let you guys live through that. I'll take you out immediately. And she was like, it was better when I said it. And I was like, yeah, looking back on it, it sounded a little bit better when you said it, but whatever.
You're like, no, Pumpkin, I meant take you out for ice cream. We're going out for ice cream.
She is many things. An idiot is not one of them.
I knew that. Good kid.
Yeah.
So across town, police officer Roger DeMarco and his team, they raid a low-income housing project. The people of the community defy the martial law imposed to deliver the dead to the National Guard. Tenants and officers exchange gunfire as the officers attempt to gain entry.
Roger Trooper DeMarco was played by Scott Reiniger.
Roger unsuccessfully tries to restrain Wooly, who is basically a horrible human being, a racist bag of shit. Wooly had just murdered unarmed civilians. Wooly is then shot dead by an officer from a different unit, a guy named Peter Washington.
Peter Washington was played by amazing horror alum Ken Freak, and the racist shitbag murderous bastard Wooly was played by James.
So he was a cop, is what you're saying. He was
Yeah,
playing
he's playing a police officer. James A. Baffico.
So now it is the police, SWAT versus reanimated dead.
Which the bites in that were so... Ugh.
Oh yeah, they were
hard to watch, and I loved it.
Taking out the zombies who have injured and killed tenants. A very disillusioned Roger suggests that he and Peter desert the unit to join up with Stephen, a friend of Roger's, and the three would escape the city. The trio receive word from an elderly priest that several zombies are confined in the basement. Roger and Peter take on the task of going down there to kill them off.
I like the focus that's put on that. Peter and Roger are not excited to be doing this work.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it looks like they've resigned themselves to accept that they're not human anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They still look so human-like that the weight of it sits on them pretty heavily.
Oh, sure.
They're just a little smurfy, though.
And the priest was played by Jess Del Grey. I probably butchered that name.
That's okay.
That's what we do here.
I think it goes without saying at this point.
We're cutting up more than movies. The English language, any other language.
Italian language, Spanish,
Yeah.
anything. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're going to say it wrong.
We had that American public school education.
So later that evening, Roger and Peter join up with Fran and Stephen and leave Philadelphia in a helicopter. The group encounter some close calls while stopping for fuel.
It becomes apparent pretty quickly that Stephen Flyboy Andrews is not great at taking on the zombies.
Yeah, not so much.
No.
He goes to swing a hammer at one of them and just kind of throws his whole body into it and just falls.
Yeah, he whiffed a little bit, didn't he?
What the? Why?
He is doing his best.
Just why?
So the group finds a shopping mall and decide to seek refuge. It's the mall that has it all.
That mall did have it all.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it did.
It really did. So Peter and Stephen camouflage the entrance to the stairwell, which leads to their safe room. They barricade all the mall entrances with trucks to keep the undead from invading. And this was a fucking process because it involved driving through crowds of zombies who are completely indifferent to injury, and they attempt to board the trucks.
Which makes sense. I would like to state that the Monroeville Mall in Monroeville, Pennsylvania is where principal photography took place.
Good to know.
Yeah, and they did the filming during the Christmas shopping season.
Oh, no shit.
Oh my God.
And so they had some serious time constraints. So
They're like, people, be
yeah,
natural.
so basically the way it would be set up is like the second the mall would close, they would start at like 11 p.m. and then have to be over with by 7 a.m. when there was like automated music that would come on.
So Roger survives this attack by the skin of his teeth and becomes a bit reckless as a result.
He does get nibbled on.
Right.
He had a decent chunk of meat taken out of his leg and a little niblet taken out of his arm.
So they basically clear the mall's interior of zombies. They open themselves a window of pure hedonism and enjoy all the goods the shopping mall has in store, no pun intended.
Looks pretty fun.
It does.
Yeah, they kind of get on and live their best lives for a few scenes.
Which is really well done because there's this kind of creeping tension as they're like fucking around and trying on expensive clothes where the audience is like, shit could go down at any minute.
And you get the sense that they could be spending their time more wisely preparing, and instead, everyone's having a ball, so.
Yeah.
Roger eventually succumbs to his zombie-infected wounds and dies,
Briefly.
but then joins the undead. Peter does him a solid, however, and busts a cap in his noggin, alleviating Roger of the burdens of zombie life. Roger's remains were buried in the mall somewhere.
Yeah, which I would like to state that mall flowers and plants and shit like that, there's not 20 feet of dirt underneath that, right? There's like a little like dusting of
It's
dirt.
a shallow grave.
So they buried him about a foot under.
Yeah, just under a facade, basically.
His nose was probably poking out.
Exactly.
Yeah. His wang.
I mean, why would go there? Why would they do that, JD? Why would they strip him so his wang was hanging out?
I don't know.
They wouldn't, you fucking weirdo.
Well, whatever. That's how I chose to deliver the information, and I apologize to no one.
So if a zombie apocalypse happens and you get bit twice and resurrect, you want us to bury you with your
Bury JD with his
your dick
out,
hanging out.
I think is
Okay.
what's, yeah.
Just the tip, right?
I mean, is it going to matter?
I mean, it matters to everyone else that's going to have to deal with your rotting dick hanging out of the fucking ground.
Well,
This is a good podcast.
Shut up, Joe.
sometime later, all of the emergency broadcast stuff just cuts off, suggesting that there's a full governmental collapse.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
And I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Now isolated, the three survivors preemptively load up the helicopter with all kinds of goodies, supplies, and whatever they may need to survive a bit longer.
But probably no recreational drugs.
Yeah, it's a good chance there were none.
Yeah.
So in case they need to, bounce in a flash, they're ready to go. They make some solid plans and even realize that it's helpful if Fran is coached in flying the heli.
Very smart.
Yeah, and I think before a point in this film, they were treated her in some shitty, unfair, and sexist types of ways. Sadly, it took the desperation of an apocalypse to make people lighten up and recognize everyone has value.
Sure.
Shit goes real sour,
It goes
though.
real quick.
As a fiendish biker gang see the helicopter in flight, they bust into the mall, and, they're kind of bitter that they're not having things shared with them. They have a sense of entitlement, so they allow the stupid zombies to invade the mall.
I mean, both groups had a stupid sense of entitlement.
They did.
There was plenty of mall to go around.
Yeah, there really was. Now, mind you, I probably wouldn't want to share space.
But they didn't want to share space. They just wanted to come in, grab a bunch of shit, and fuck off.
Yeah. So, I mean, just basically be like, yeah, just take what you want. We don't fucking care.
And they wanted the stupidest shit, too.
Yeah.
You're like, raise hell over here, please.
Right.
But would that group listen?
Well, that's just it.
They could have just let them do it.
Just let them do it.
Yeah.
Just stay in your sneaky hideaway spot and wait till they're finished.
Yeah. Like, they even say, they've just been surviving on the road this whole time.
And if they decide that they want to stay, they wouldn't have busted through.
Yeah.
If the idea was to
That's true.
stay, they would have done what they could to try to either infiltrate, or they would have tried more to contact, instead of being like, you fucked up, if they would have been like, hey, look, we want some shit. We're not staying. We want some shit.
We're Audi 5000.
But yeah, I mean, it's a hard place to be, though, because if you're going to fight them, if you're going to try to kill them, you need to set up a perimeter and attack them as they come towards the building, not when they're already inside. Once they're inside, you just need to hide and hope they don't find your sneaky wall.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Tom Savini is like the biker leader.
Oh, yeah, he's great, too. He's got
He's got a saber.
Yeah, Tom Savini was really good.
He was fun.
So, despite Peter, Stevens, and Fran's good planning, shit still gets royally fucked up by the assholes.
It's an unfortunate way to phrase that, JD.
Wait, what?
Nothing. Keep going.
Oh, did I say it wrong?
You said what you meant to say,
Yeah.
but the way you said it was very funny.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But no, Steven's the one that makes everything go south.
Yeah, because he gets consumed in a fit of rage.
Instead of just letting the fucking bikers do what they're going to do, break some window. It's not their mall. They don't own that mall. They're just surviving there, right?
Well, he gets very territorial, and he's just,
Exactly. He was like, oh, this is our mall. And there's 20 bikers and 3 of them.
Right.
So unfortunately, you have to look at those numbers and go, this is not a good fight to have. And then you just go into your hidey hole and you stay there until they're gone.
Just let them come in and loot and raise hell, and they're going to go away on their own.
Yep. But no, he's got to fucking start shit with them. And even at one point, Peter is like, well, now you started a war, whereas they were just watching him do it. I mean, Peter was laughing at him at one point
Yeah.
because they were stuffing pies in zombies' faces and hitting them with seltzer water, which was really fucking weird for me.
But a great time if you've never done it.
When was the last time you threw a pie in a zombie's face?
We could talk about that afterward. I'll give you a call.
Oh, okay.
So then he reanimates and instinctively returns to the safe room and leads a horde of the undead to Fran and Peter, unfortunately. Peter kills zombie Steven, gives him a good shot. While Fran escapes to the roof, Peter really doesn't want to leave, though. He locks himself in the room, and he's, I think maybe contemplating suicide or...
He's planning to do it. He's got a little 2-shot pistol. He's ready to do it right at his head. And then at the last moment, he's like, yeah, fuck that. And then he shoots his shot, gets out of there, climbs the ladder.
So the zombies help Peter make a change of heart.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
He then battles his way up to the rooftop where he joins Fran. And the two, low on fuel, narrowly escape to an uncertain future.
There was an alternate ending that wasn't used, but was part of the original script, where instead of Peter and Francine getting in the helicopter and flying away, they were going to be in the helicopter, and they were going to be like, this isn't worth it. They were just going to be like, whatever, let's just end it. And so Peter was going to shoot himself, and then Fran was going to stick her head to the path of the helicopter blades.
Oh, no.
And the ending credits would run over a shot of the helicopter blades turning until the engine winds down.
Oh, God.
So basically, they wouldn't have gotten far anyway. Like, even if they were like, all right, let's do it. And then during production, they decided to change the ending to the one we got.
Which was better?
Yeah. Mostly because what a way to end yourself.
Yeah.
There's plenty of ammunition. There's plenty of guns. Why stand up to the helicopter blade? Whatever. It's because it would have looked good on camera.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing is as I would have been excited.
Yeah.
That would have been a good thing to see on camera.
Tom Savini and George Romero would have had a lot of fun creating that moment, I think.
They basically did.
Oh, did they shoot it?
They didn't shoot that scene. They just used the head appliance in a different scene in the movie.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, I mean, that's it. The score, we'll talk about real quick, was dubbed by Goblin and a little bit by Dario Argento.
Goblin are, they're definitely one of my favorite rock bands.
They're pretty fun. One actor that I forgot to mention. So throughout the film, the survivors are listening to the radio and they're watching the television. And the station that seems to still be functioning has this fucking scientist in it. And that was played by Richard France. And he really is a great addition to the movie.
Oh, yeah.
You hear him in the background basically saying, we're fucked. We need to sort out how we're going to deal with the zombies because we aren't going to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the gentleman with the eye patch?
That was the gentleman with the eye patch and the distinguished beard.
Yeah.
He was the voice of cold, pragmatic. The zombies are here. They're not going anywhere. And he's a bad guy. Like, he is not a protagonist.
Yeah.
He is a bad guy. He is an example of the worst of humanity. But that actor did such an amazing job of conveying just contempt for everyone around him. It was like watching Ben Shapiro's great-grandfather or something.
Yeah, I picked up on some of those vibes.
George Romero absolutely predicting the rise of douchebags like Ben Shapiro.
Rush Limbaugh.
And yeah, it was just creepy to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But that actor did an amazing job. And that actor, Richard France, is like a classically trained actor. He's an author. He's a playwright. He's got a good hold on what he was doing. And I loved his character. I thought he was such a smarmy piece of shit, you know?
Right.
But yeah, so the score is done by Goblin, a little bit of Dario Argento, because those guys work together on pretty much everything. Joe, real quick, give us some info on the cinematographer and the writer.
Yeah, I'm going to get it out of the way real quick. George Romero.
Right?
Dario Argento helped out a little bit, but not enough to get an actual writing credit. He just consulted on the script. Cinematography done by cinematographer, director, producer Michael Gornick. He just kind of bounced between production and writing and cinematography. Mostly horror. He worked on a lot of Stephen King stuff. He produced The Langoliers, which sucked, but I love it.
Right.
The Stand miniseries from the 90s he worked on. He directed Creepshow 2, and then he was the DP on a lot of Romero stuff. Dawn of the Dead, Creepshow, Night Riders. And he gets it, like the language of horror. Like, he uses the environment to frame scenes in such a way as to make them scary and claustrophobic.
Yep.
He shoots the zombies from a low angle, like from the bottom up, to make them seem like these big, imposing monsters. He's a very good horror cinematographer. And I feel like his eye kind of gave Romero's movies the punch that they wound up having.
I totally agree with that. JD, let's talk about special effects, because I'm sure you've got some bits and pieces to discuss with us. Huh?
Ooh, I like that pun too.
You're welcome.
You're on fire today, my friend.
My gift to the world.
So yeah, the special effects mostly created by Tom Savini. And his work on this film led to a pretty extensive career creating some pretty awesome horror effects over the years. And I would say Savini is probably my favorite special effects artist in the whole genre, one of them. He pioneered a lot of stuff, and I know that some of the prosthetics in this film were sculpted, and he did a lot of mold making, I understand, like especially like the zombie with the top of the head being chopped off. A lot of the prosthetic makeup that is used to do that happens by making a cast of an actor's actual head so they can give them something that will fit them well prosthetic wise, and then create this cavernous thing. That way when you sever it, it actually looks like it's hollow and like the inside of a body, so they could fill it with all kinds of gory stuff. But yeah, I mean, Savini, he did so much amazing work in the genre.
I think it's also fun to point out that George had originally tried to get him to assist him in doing the makeup and special effects for the original Night of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm.
But Savini got drafted into the Vietnam War, so he wasn't able to do Night of the Living Dead.
I'm always blown away when I see Tom Savini's birthday photos, because he takes one every year, and the dude is extremely fit.
Yep.
And he'll usually be standing in his photo holding a birthday cake, and he looks like he's, a third of his age. It's pretty remarkable.
It's pretty impressive. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on then. Personal experience with the film. Joe.
Huh? What? Oh, right.
Start us off.
Yep. I have not seen this cut, but I've seen this movie over the years. The George Romero's social commentary, because the what if the real monsters are people, that's kind of a played out shitty cliche in horror movies. But George Romero really gets it.
Yep.
And he's really making a point with every one of his movies. Much more than, because I'm going to comment on it now because we're never going to watch it for this show, the Zack Snyder remake of this movie, which fully misses the point.
Yeah, he had no idea what George was saying with this film.
Yeah, completely misunderstood. And yeah, I like this movie. I like all of the Dead movies, at least all of the ones I've seen. Even some of the less popular ones. I think Land of the Dead is a pretty good movie.
Mm-hmm.
As to a zombie rating, it's complicated. Because I think to some extent you're not meant to be afraid of these zombies. You're kind of meant to feel bad for them.
Right.
Which is effective, but it makes them less scary, but in a way they're kind of not meant to be. So for that reason, I'd say 4 out of 5 zombies.
That tracks. I think that tracks.
Yeah.
All right, JD.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is another one of those films that I definitely was able to rent from the video store with my grandma. I remember watching this and seeing it at a very young age and being really shocked by it. The most gory bits were really, where the zombies are gnawing on, large chunks of, I'm assuming, animal flesh and bone that were, I don't know if those were actual created prosthetic effects or just real animal parts, I'm assuming.
Some of it just looked like meat.
Yep.
Like some of the ribs look like just racks of lamb.
Yep.
Right. I even thought I saw a well-cut a steak in there, just laying on the ground.
I commented at one point, some butcher shop made a lot of money off of this movie.
Yeah.
Because there were some really expensive looking cuts of meat.
Right.
Just strewn about.
You would think they would have mangled that steak a little bit more just to blend in well with the well-done prosthetic and horror effects. So
yeah, they were pretty recognizable as cuts of meat.
Right. So the London broil laying on the ground just was a little too pristine. Anyway, I remember being extremely freaked out by this film because I think it was the first zombie film that I'd ever seen in color. I remember seeing Night of the Living Dead pretty young. I think this was really one of the first horror films I might have ever even watched. I've seen it a bunch of times since. Watching it today with you, I feel like I haven't watched it in a while, so a lot of it was very nostalgic and fun. I love the zombies in this movie. The thing that I love even more than the zombies in this movie are the damage that they do to the living, like watching the realism in the bites.
Right. Oh my God.
You could see the stringy flesh tearing away from the victim and just a lot of, exploding blood packets. One of the things related back to the special effects, there were a lot of exploding blood packets in this film, and they didn't really, it could possibly have been fault of the editing or the re-editing, but the bullet holes, you did not see a whole lot of bullet holes, line up with the exploding bladder packs. And the color of the blood was peculiar. It almost just looked like, a washed out runny red paint that you would, get from an art store or something. It didn't really say blood. It said something else.
Yeah, it was very painty. And it could have been because when movies are transferred between media from film to digital, they'll do color corrections sometimes. And they might have fucked something up.
Kind of saturated it.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the case. I think
you don't think so?
Because George Romero wanted this to have more of a comic booky feel to it.
Oh, sure.
So he put emphasis on having those effects look like that. Like Tom Savini was not a fan of the fake blood in this movie, and George Romero wanted it that way.
Okay.
At least that's what it's been reported.
Sure.
Yeah, I just remember enjoying the distinct blueness of the zombies. They were kind of all this really strange, I don't even know what you would call that in the blue-gray world as a color, but it was very putrid and made them all look very sickly and dead. So, and that, I think it was very effective, but they themselves weren't terribly grotesque. Some of them were, but a lot of them looked almost kind of silly and not super threatening, which I didn't mind that because they still wreaked a whole lot of havoc. As far as my zombie rating goes, I'm going to go ahead and say 3.5 because most of my love of these zombies, like I said, were for the physical damage they do through bites and tearing away at flesh, but they themselves were not that scary. So, yeah, 3.5.
Sure.
So, Kane, how about giving us your personal experience with the film?
I've seen this movie so many times. It's one of my 3 main zombie movies, and I've just always loved it. I love the character development. I mean, even when we were watching it today, it's just like, every time you see a shot or you see something, and you're just like, oh my God, this is such a well done zombie movie. It really is, in my opinion, the pinnacle of the zombie film. The social commentary it's fantastic. I feel like it has the in your face, force you to stare at it, but then it also has these little subtle hints as to what George was trying to say with this movie. And I just really get a kick out of the zombie bites. And I feel like, you got Night of the Living Dead, where the dead are using tools intermittently. Not all of them, but a couple here and there will remember how to use something. And you see that in this movie, the evolution of the zombie that Romero was writing. You start to see more and more of that in this film.
Oh, sure.
And throughout the series, once you get to a character like Bub,
right,
who is rather almost sophisticated as a zombie.
That's what I'm saying. You see a lot of hints at that. When Stephen Flyboy Andrews is turned into a zombie, he remembers where the hidden stairwell is, right? He remembers that Peter built a wall to hide the doorway, and he immediately beelines there because of the fact that even though he's using mostly his reptile brain, some of the synapses are firing in the other part of his brain, and he knows where to go to get food. And I really enjoy that.
I also really like that they were consistently afraid of fire.
Yes, I think that's real fun. I think that, again, it points to their creatures of instinct, and, most creatures fear fire, that's,
oh, sure.
So having that kind of play out that way was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm always excited to watch this movie. I will probably end up watching it again this year just because of the fact that it's just such a fun zombie movie. My zombie rating, I'm going to go with 4. These were incredibly fresh zombies, and I imagine that if the Night of the Living Dead had been made on color film, that's what those zombies would have looked like for us.
Right.
I like the kind of blue-gray texture, or the blue-gray tint that Romero has all of the zombies kind of caked in. I like the fact that as you progress in the Of the Dead movies, as you progress through them, the zombies look worse and worse. That's I love this film. Do we have anything else we want to say?
No, I'm good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I'm set.
If you watched Dawn of the Dead, whether the Argento cut or the Romero theatrical release.
Dawn of the Dead.
Let us know what you think. You can find us at WeGiveYouBrainworms.com. Again, if you YouTube, make sure to like the video and subscribe.
Maybe click the bell too.
Yeah, you know what?
Smash it.
I think clicking the bell is probably a good way to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy enough. It's right there. It's 2 clicks. It's,
Yeah.
We'll love it.
no reason not to.
And so next week, we're going to be having a discussion about zombie movies and film. I almost feel like it's just going to be talking about George Romero again.
Yeah.
Very well could be.
Yeah, there'll be a little bit of waffle about, voodoo and stuff for a minute, and then we're just going to talk about
Hoodoo?
You do.
Right. But yeah, that's it.
Au revoir.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. I will just know. I will sense it. I will feel it in my balls. Yes, lick it. Lick it. Lick it or tick it. I was being a weird guy.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
And I feel like shit.